Hello and welcome to Stretford. Paddock, my name is Joe. This is the news. It's the 21st of October and we are live, so get in the comments. We're still talking about the Liverpool game. We have to. It's the best thing that's happened to Man United in ages and we are going to wallow in it, but in a good way, if that makes sense. We've got loads to talk about. We're going to be talking about some of the analysis last night from Jamie Carragher, the Monday Night Football stuff. Also loads of quotes. Lomans has been speaking about the manager. We've got Van Dijk basically being Mardy as well. Also potential update on Harry Maguire and his contract situation. If I was his agent, I'd be sitting down this week to try and get another year ironed out because he's not, he's very much at the peak of his powers in terms of popularity. Loads to get into. Get your thoughts in the comments. Good morning, everyone, as well. Loads of people in the chat already. Morning, Maurice. Morning, Eugene. Eugene says, Joe, you're the best. Now, I haven't written that, but if I did have access to that, I probably would have written the same thing. Let's have a look at some of this analysis from last night then. So last night we saw West Ham versus, who was it now? West Ham versus Brentford. And before that, obviously, the Monday Night Football analysis, Jamie Carragher did a section talking about how Manchester United beat Liverpool. And it was, interestingly, a couple of things. One, a lot of what we were noticing on the watch-along, this emphasis on second balls. But also, I think there's a couple of extra sort of points that he made that I thought were really interesting. One is, and you can see it sort of highlighted in that some sort of quadrilateral that is painted there with the 5 Manchester United midfielders in it. The way that so often you see the back 5 along the back there, so often United and Amorim have been criticised for leaving gaps in the midfield. It's a 5-2-3. Essentially, you end up having 2 midfielders covering all of this distance by themselves, and it can't work. Well, the great point that he made is, look how narrow United's midfield and attack are there. You've got Cunha, you've got Mbeumo, you've got Bruno, Casemiro, and Mason Mount, all within sort of width-wise, maybe a 10-yard sort of strip down the middle of the pitch. You can't argue that Manchester United don't have enough midfielders or bodies in the midfield there. United clearly have, a very good presence in there, and it's allowed us to win those second balls, to attack as soon as the play's turned over. And I think that this whole thing of United need more midfielders, we need to play 3 in midfield. You've essentially got 5 in midfield there. You've got 5 centre mids that can all sort of pounce whenever Liverpool give the ball away. And I think that that's something that needs to be remembered, is that, you got 5 at the back, yes, but that doesn't mean those defenders can't push them into midfield, or your wingers can't come a little bit narrower. They are meant to be number 10s for a reason. They're not, touchline hugging wingers. You've got your fullbacks that can come and overlap and do that job as well. And I think that for us to assume that Ruben Amorim doesn't get that having fewer players in an area of the pitch makes you weaker in that area, that's just basic stuff, isn't it? Do you think Amorim doesn't know that if you have 2 midfielders and the opposition has 3 midfielders, that you might be outnumbered there? That's not even football tactics, that's just counting. That's like 2 or 3-year-olds could tell you that. What's bigger, 2 or 3? 2. No, you got it wrong, let's try again. Do you think Amorim is really that stupid? And obviously, a weakness with his system is that you might lean towards having fewer men in the midfield, but his job is to sort of correct that and, encourage the defenders to push up into those spaces when they're tracking their men. Encourage the number 10s to drop in either asymmetrically or pretty much symmetrically there. They both came in really narrow. Not being outnumbered in the midfield is an obvious part of football. And I know that at times, for instance, the Fulham game, there were times, especially in that second half, where they did sort of run through us a little bit. That has happened. But I don't think it's because Amorim doesn't know that 3 men is more than 2. I think it's because the system has to be executed properly. And because, and when it is executed properly, you do get the extra benefits, especially when you're defending deep. You can have an extra centre-back on the back line. Also, it allows your defenders to push up with the attackers, and it's obvious who is tracking who. Sometimes if you've got a striker or 2 strikers, and you've got 2 centre-backs and 1 striker on them, that striker drops deep, it's not clear that the centre-back should follow him into the midfield. So then you have to pass that striker on from centre-back to defensive midfielder, and in that transition, players can get lost, players can find spaces in between the lines. Whereas if you've got 3 centre-backs and one of them's on a striker, if that striker then dropped deep, it's clear that centre-back has to go with him. So there's never that transition passing on period where someone can get lost. In theory, you can go man for man much more easily while still always having at least 2 centre-backs. So obviously things need to be ironed out, and we're not just going to win every game, and I'm not saying it's the best tactic in the world. But this whole thing of like, Amorim just doesn't get it. His midfield's completely empty and he just doesn't see it. I'm not buying that personally. Santanoch says, should be stressed this works well against possession teams. Defensive teams are different. Exactly right. And we need to see that working. And weirdly, we've almost seen some of our best performances. Think, Arsenal away last season in the FA Cup, Man City away last season, Liverpool away last season, and then this season. Some of our best performances have come against those high possession teams away from home. Translating that, as we always say, again, at home we seem to have turned a corner a little bit, but it's the smaller teams away from home where we seem to struggle, the likes of Brentford, the likes of Fulham, where you think we should be able to knock these teams around. Actually, when they've got the home side on the home crowd on their back and helping them, we seem to struggle translating that. So that's the next step, I think. But having a knack of doing well in big games away from home, that's going to stand you in good stead in cup competitions especially, and eventually those are the games that win and lose your league titles. Obviously we don't have to worry about that just yet. Let's just start winning some games against the likes of Fulham and Brentford first. But yeah, I think there's positive signs, and obviously Jamie Carragher agrees, which I think is a good thing, because obviously not that it matters what he says directly, but I think the narrative and the media narrative around the manager and around the team, when that changes and as that is beginning to change, you'll see the players, it's easier to be confident, it's easier to hold on to wins when you're not constantly thinking, oh my God, it's happening again, everyone's going to be on us, it's going to be this, that and the other. I think that a little bit of positivity, a bit of momentum for the first time under Ruben Amorim is going to be a massively powerful thing. So very, very impressed with that there. Let's move on to Lomans, because he's been talking about the manager. It says, Ruben Amorim's actions speak volumes for Senna Lomans as 5-word verdict given. So we're talking here post-match as we get down to the quotes here. Lomans Lord's Amorim trait. So what have we got? The 23-year-old shotstopper who arrived from Royal Antwerp at the end of the summer transfer window for 18 million has stepped up to replace the much criticised and recently departed Andre Onana in recent weeks. The win at Anfield marked just his second start for United, though Lomans has already benefited from Amorim's managerial skills. Discussing the under-fire head coach, I'm not calling him that anymore, Lomans noted Amorim's ability to take all the pressure off his players during times of hardship, which has helped the Belgium come into his own. He says, for me, he's always the same. I haven't been here as long as I said before, so maybe it's different for the other guys, but for me, the coach, he gets a lot of pressure. You can feel it from the outside, you can read it, you can hear it, but I think he does his best, and he does really good trying to keep the pressure on him and not on the team. He takes a lot of pressure from us, and that's also what great managers do. So the players do notice these things. They do notice the negatives. They do notice the pressure. They do feel that. I know before, I said about the media narrative and all that, and I know people will say, well, it shouldn't matter. It literally, who cares? They should ignore it, but they don't ignore it. The human beings, if we see it, they're going to see it. And maybe in a dream world, every Man United player would delete all social media, but that is a bit of a sort of, it's just an unlikely thing to happen, isn't it? They're not going to do that. They're not all just going to snap their phones over the knee and pretend it's 1950. They're going to read what's said about them. I think we had the other day, Mateus Cunha liking one of the posts that we did on Instagram. You think, I don't think he follows us. How's he even seen that? He's obviously won the game and is trawling social media just to get all the sort of the positive reaction, which is great, and you like that. But that means that, probably they're seeing all the bad stuff as well. So, I think that it's good that Amorim takes that pressure on himself personally. Aman M says, I'm a simple man. I see Joe, I click. I didn't actually mean to read that. That was just the first message that I saw, so thank you very much. This news should be retitled and re-uploaded as an analysis video. Great stuff, Joe, says Heaven Soul. I think that's a compliment. Thank you very much. I still think the pivot, especially midfielders we have, is a major weakness, but Sunday was a huge step forward. Akash, I agree with that. We don't have the right players to do this at the top level. And I know you would probably include Lomans in this now, so you can maybe make it 5. But obviously, Amorim's only had 4 or 5, first-team players brought in since he arrived, which is a good enough amount to make a difference and to start seeing improvements, which I think we are seeing at the front of the pitch. But it's not enough where you go, right, this is his team, let's start winning some trophies. You need 7, 8, 9, I would say, players to really sort of make a difference. And you might even need to replace one of the players that you brought in. You might need a new Patrick Dorger or a new Lomans or a new, Cunha. I don't want to talk about replacing any of those players specifically. But you look at the top managers, when they come into teams, they'll bring a few players in. They might change one of them. They might make a mistake. They might need another go at it. And then, by the time they've got 8, 9, 10, look at Arteta. That whole team is his. He signed, something like 30 players or something since he got to Arsenal. So, Amorim, who's signed 4, pretty much 5 maybe, first team players. I guess Lomans is first team now, isn't he? I think to see improvement is necessary, but to assume that we're going to be the finished article is a little bit premature, personally. Van Dijk was speaking after the game as well. What's he been saying then? Look at this on the winning goal. I think we conceded a very sloppy second goal. We worked so hard to get back into the game, and we created great opportunities to score the winner. But if you concede a second goal like that, that's the disappointing part. If you look at the game as a whole, we were far too rushed. I think they were very patient. They didn't press us high, but they didn't let us on the ball. We still created many opportunities to score, but the reality is that we lost. That is the reality, yeah. The reality is that you lost. I don't think it was a sloppy second goal. I think it was very good from Man United. We had a good shot from the edge of the box. They blocked it, and then that ball from Bruno Fernandes is absolutely world class. And when you do that, when players are trying to get out and push up the line and play offside a little bit, and a ball is as pinpoint accurate as that is, there's not really a lot you can do. Let's talk about Harry Maguire, because we don't need to keep going over this transformation that he's had. Let's just look at the reality of right now. He is a very reliable player. In certain games, he is a must-have. I think, when we're sitting back, when we're playing against taller teams that rely on set pieces, he's an excellent weapon to have in both boxes. He is someone that is a very good, seemingly, has always been referred to as a very good atmosphere maker in the dressing room. He seems like a nice guy again. The opportunities he would have had down the years to kick up a fuss or, plant some snarky social media posts or have an interview with someone where he, not necessarily does what Cristiano Ronaldo did, but, sticks the boot in a little bit during times when he's struggled. He hasn't done any of that. The reports at England is that he was one of the most sort of vocal, likeable players in the dressing room. I think he's a good player to have around. So for me, he says huge contract decision. For me, if he was to get a 1-year deal, I think he's 32 at the moment, an extra 1 year, which is what United used to do with everyone over 30, basically, I would be up for that. I think another year of Harry Maguire is no bad thing. I know he's had a couple of injuries in the last few years, but generally he's available as well. And he offers something that a lot of other players don't do. Let's have a look at this article in particular then. So have we got any sort of points here? Maguire's current deal runs out at the end of the season, which could seem to depart after 7 years amid interest from Saudi Pro League sides. Football Insider revealed that United want Maguire to sign a new deal despite the temptation of big money offers from the Middle East. Following his increased playtime in recent weeks and ultimately his crucial involvement in Liverpool, United could now accelerate their efforts to agree terms. Let's see what people are saying about that, because I wonder how much excitement there is around Harry Maguire. And the other thing as well, what I would say is, much differently to Bruno Fernandes, who's the captain who plays every week, if Maguire did go, actually, you know what, I can sign a 3-year deal in Saudi and get, what would it be? Let's say 300 grand a week, because he's a big name, isn't he? I wouldn't begrudge him that either. However, if he wants to stay another couple of years at Man United, I'd also be very much up for that. You're not going to get we're not going to get anything in resale value because his contract's up. So it's not about getting money for him anyway. I think he's a good player to have around. I think he's a good player in the dressing room, and I think crucially he's a good footballer. So another year for me, I'd be more than happy. Someone said we need to get Harry a 3-year deal. He needs a testimonial at United. I won't go that far, but I think give him another year, no problem at all in that. Wayne Rooney's been speaking about Brian Mbeumo, which I like as well. He said that Wayne Rooney has admitted that Brian Mbeumo has proved him wrong after his £71 million move from Brentford. He admitted that he was sceptical of the forward's ability, but after being one of Amorim's most dangerous players, the former United striker has admitted he's been proven wrong. He says, for me, Mbeumo's been United's standout player this season and hasn't got his rewards or for his hard work and the sacrifices he's made for the team. It was a great goal. I'll be honest, I was a bit sceptical when United signed him. I didn't know if he had the ability to come and play for Manchester United, but he's proved me wrong. I think he's a great addition to the team and by far United's best player of the season. Isn't it nice just reading all these articles about happiness and good things and people being proven wrong in a good way? I just love it. The amount of Manchester United related media I have absorbed over the last 48 hours has just been astonishing. Everything I see, if it's got a United badge on it, I'm clicking it because it's all positive. This is the thing that happens with wins, especially games like away at Liverpool. You don't even really matter how you play, and I think we did, showed some good signs. Just winning that game, winning a couple in a row, winning 4 out of the last 6. It's the first time in well over a year that it's actually been like, I'm going to click it. I'm going to look at everything here. I'm going to enjoy everything that there is to offer this week as a Manchester United fan. It's just the best. It's just the best feeling, isn't it? What else we got here? Endrick. Look at this. This is in the MEN. Manchester United join race for out of favour Real Madrid starlet. According to reports, what reports? Manchester United have joined the race to save Endrick from his Real Madrid nightmare. There's so many teams clamouring to save Endrick. It's been claimed that the Brazilian sensation, what about him is a sensation, has found himself frozen out at the Spanish Giants. Sorry, it has been claimed that, has it? Either he has or he hasn't. Is he playing for him or not? Let's have a look at this. It's been claimed that I don't actually play for Manchester United. I just talk about them. No, that's just a fact. Let's have a look. How many games is he on this season? 1. None! So it's not really a claim, is it? He's literally played no games this season. That's not right. I'm sure I saw him come on the other week. Or was that some old footage? For some reason, I see footage of Endrick being subbed on. So he's not played at all this season. So this here, it's been claimed that he's found himself frozen out. No claims needed. He just has. He hasn't played. Real boss and former Liverpool midfielder Xabi Alonso has yet to hand him a single minute of action. Could have just read that instead of Googling it. As a result, the situation has alerted a number of clubs, including West Ham, Newcastle and Juventus. Reports suggest that the highly rated Brazilian has told, or has told his representatives that he will have to leave the Bernabeu in the January window unless there's a dramatic change in his prospects. United are said to have shown interest in a 6-month deal from the start of 2026. The 19-year-old cost Real £61 million. Oh my God. But has started just 3 league games and is reportedly increasingly desperate to leave. Keep going down. Are we not even quoting who reported it these days? To be honest, right, if you go back 15, let's say 20 years, I know not everyone's going back 20 years, journalists didn't used to even write the same stories as each other unless they had it. Unless they'd got it from their own sources, right? Then all of a sudden journalists would quote other newspapers as the report, as the story, as everyone's just desperate for clicks, and you've got fewer and fewer, less money, less people on the ground, less people actually getting these stories. So sometimes you have to quote another newspaper, which typically didn't used to happen, right? Now you've got people just saying according to reports, and not even saying where the reports are from. Give me something here. According to reports, I did a poo the size of a house. Well, who's saying that? You can't just say it. That isn't true, by the way. Those reports are false. It was the size of a big shed, right? That's just poor, isn't it? According to reports, something happened. Who reported it? Dunno. Is it true? Beats me. That's not good enough, I'm afraid. So, according to reports, Endrick might be an option for Man United. I can tell you right now, that isn't going to happen. Easy. Sorted. Right, that's going to be all from us. We're back this afternoon with Laurie Whitwell. Very excited for that. And me and Mikola will be here for Uncensored as well tomorrow morning. So make sure you stay tuned for all that. But of course, going through everything that happened with that Liverpool game and what it means for Ruben Amorim and the future prospects for Manchester United with Laurie Whitwell this afternoon. So stay tuned to Stretford Paddock. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.